Welcome to our podcast, Inspiring Living, with me, Mark Candelaria. I am an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, and husband. I'm the founder and now a partner of a fabulous 25-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture, designing amazing homes across the country. We have hosted tours to Italy, Spain, and now Napa over the last 20 years. In the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. Our podcast is about all the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspire living. Yes, we will talk about architecture and design, but every week we'll venture into all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. Sit back and enjoy it, and let's have some fun exploring all of the opportunities that are there just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired every week. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Okay, welcome back to Inspiring Living. It is sure great to have you guys here. We sure appreciate all the subscribes and ratings and reviews, and you guys are doing a great job. We really appreciate building some momentum. This will be our 10th podcast already, so we are off and running, fine-tuning as we go, of course, but that's kind of the way we roll. We get things in motion and then, kind of steer it towards the goal line. Anyway, it's great to be back here in Arizona. I'm just sitting here looking at beautiful Camelback Mountain, blue skies. Can't beat Arizona this time of year, I'll tell you what, it is fantastic. But we had a great time in High Point. The market was phenomenal this year. Hope you enjoyed our podcasts from High Point. We had a great time putting them all together. And it was also exciting to see our project that we have underway there. With such a great team. Anne-Marie Barton of AMB Design was on one of the podcasts. She's the interior designer. Jason Harris is our client. And then we got the great team back here in Arizona. Jeff Berghoff, Landscape Design. Walter Spitz going to do our lighting. And my team, Meredith Thompson, Project Architect, and Damon Wake, Project Manager. I'll tell you what, it is great to get on stage with these type of musicians and watch the music just kind of flow out. So we're excited about that. Okay, so a couple of announcements too, real quick while I have everybody. We've got all kinds of things going on. I'm going to be cooking at Expressions Home Gallery on November 7th. I'll be cooking side by side with CP Druitt. I think he's going to be making short ribs, and I'm going to be making paella. So that should be a fun evening, and we will be kind of hosted and overseen, emceed by none other than the fabulous Mark Tarbell. So I encourage you to get your tickets. I think you can get them through Your Iconic Life's website, so check that out. Then on November 9th, we'll switch gears from paella to pozole. And Isabel and I are going to make her famous New Mexican pozole. We're going to be serving Prosecco at the Phoenix Home and Garden home tour. And we're going to be the VIP house. We're the last house on the VIP tour. And again, Damon Wake is the project manager. Nika Bokniak is the interior designer that worked with Isabel from Earth and Images. And we've got a great, great crew there. And it's going to be a fun house to show everybody because it's a whole house makeover. And so we're going to have the before pictures, and then obviously you'll be able to just walk through the after pictures because you'll be in the space itself. And so we encourage you to get your tickets, join us for a fun evening, and we'll be there serving pozole. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a very interesting subject. We're going to shift things up quite a bit. I've got a guest who I've known for about 2 years now. He cuts my hair just about every other Saturday. Yes, I do have a little bit of hair left, and Bill takes care of it. Now, here's the deal. Bill is 92 years old, so it's not like you have to be on your A+ game to cut my hair at that point. But he does a great job at 92. I'll tell you, he's one of the best barbers I've ever had. And you'll hear his story. He's cut the hair of some pretty famous guys over his, I don't know, I forget how many years it was. He'll tell it in the podcast. But what's inspiring to me about Bill is not only the fact that he's 92 years old, but it's the fact that he has such a great attitude, and he just keeps doing his thing. He works 3 days a week. He goes dove hunting, he goes golfing, he plays bridge, he goes out to dinner, he gardens, he exercises. I mean, talk about someone that inspires you to keep going. I just turned 59 a couple weeks ago, and I can't imagine what it's going to be like to be 92 someday. I hope I make it, first of all. But I think he's got some great little tips if you listen. Now, as we do the podcast here, remember, he's 92 years old, okay? So he's not super, super fast and quick on the responses. So cut him a little slack. I think if you take the time and listen to his energy and his message, though, you'll be able to take something away from all this. Now, aging is a pretty big topic, and I think it's going to be a really big topic in our next election. And according to our 27 population projections, by the year 2035, there will be 78 million people 65 years and older. If I make it 2035, that will be me. More than 76.7 million will be under the age of 18. So for once, there'll be more older people than there are younger people in this country. So think about that a little bit. According to the 2016 population estimates, there are 50.8 million people aged 65 years and over in the United States. Okay, so that's a lot, right? And I think when you go to restaurants and when you go to sporting events and when you go to different things, I notice it. I mean, I notice there's a lot of old people everywhere. And maybe it's just the places I'm hanging out, but I think I'm definitely seeing it, and I think these statistics kind of prove the point that it's actual reality. So the year 2030 marks an important demographic turning point in U.S. history. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, by 2030, all baby boomers will be older than age 65. This will expand the size of the older population so that 1 in every 5 residents will be at retirement age. Okay? Think about that. So, I don't know, Sun City West is probably going to boom again. Who knows, But it's crazy. It's crazy to think about it. And I know we're all dealing with it in some way. I've got my father's going to be 85 in a few months. My mom is, she just turned 80. Isabel's mom's in her 70s, and we talk about it. I mean, we're going to be dealing with, the issues and the things that'll happen, potentially loss of life of one or dementia. There's so many issues and problems. And this population boom is also putting increased pressure on Social Security. Starting in 2020, the program will begin paying out more than it takes in, thanks to baby boomers starting to draw more from Social Security rather than contribute to it. And while this transition was expected, the rate of the draw means that based on current projections, Social Security will have insufficient funds to pay out promised benefits by the mid to late 2030s, according to Forbes. So we're going to talk about that in the next few weeks, too. I've got a couple guests that are on the financial side, and we're going to talk about, this potential crisis. I think we all know it's coming, but none of us want to acknowledge it, And the hell of it is, we're going to be the 65-year-olds that are going to have to deal with it. So I don't know if it's too late to start making babies now, but if you're up for it, let's do it. Let's make some babies because we need some young people to be paying into the system. No, but all kidding aside, I think you're going to enjoy listening to Bill, and his wife Jane pops on a little bit too, and they're just so sweet, such sweet people. And at the end of the podcast, Isabel and I'll reflect a little bit on what he had to say, and the two of them stayed for dinner that night with my mom and dad here and Isabel's mom, and I'll tell you what, we whipped it up. I'll tell you, I hope I can party that good when I'm 92 years old. That's all I can say. So sit back, enjoy, listen to Bill. He's a great guy, and love you all. We'll catch you on the tail end here.
All right, I've got a real fun podcast for us today. I've got a very good friend, someone who has been cutting my hair. Yes, I do have a little bit of hair, believe it or not. Mostly he's trimming my ear and nose, but he still works on my head a little bit. My wonderful barber, Bill McMurdy, right? Not McCurdy.
No.
And not McDirty. Right? Okay, this guy's amazing. He is, how old are you?
92.
92 years old. He's been cutting hair, how many years?
71.
71 of those 92. So pretty remarkable guy. He brought his beautiful wife, Jane, here, and we're going to let her do a little talking. She'll set us straight, right, Bill? Isn't that how this deal works?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see how this all goes here. All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and how did you end up here in Arizona?
Well, I was born in Rocky Grove, Pennsylvania. It's right near Franklin, Pennsylvania.
Okay, where's Franklin, Pennsylvania?
It's 100. It's 90 miles north of Pittsburgh,
Okay, now I kind of know where you are. Yep.
and 90 miles from Cleveland.
Okay. So you grew up there. What year was that?
Well, I was born in 1927.
1927. So who was the president in 1927? You remember?
I can't remember.
So you grew up there in Pennsylvania, and where did you go to school? And
Yeah, I went to Rocky Grove School
okay,
and the high school there, and then I didn't graduate. I quit the school in my junior year to join the Navy. I was 17 years old then.
wow,
And so I stayed in the Navy for 2 years, and I was on a destroyer for 1.5 years, and we ended up going to Japan right after the war was ended.
wow,
So then I came back and went to barber school.
yeah. Now, how did you decide that?
I had an uncle that was a barber, and he had 9 kids, and he never was broke.
He was never. People's hair is always growing, right?
Yeah, he always had money.
Yeah.
So I thought, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yep. So
So
you
I
started.
learned-
You went to barber school. Got that haircut down.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
learned how to cut it.
Yep. And then what?
Well, while I was there, this barber school was on the third floor,
Uh huh.
and there was a bunch of steps you had to go up, no elevators. And when we'd go to work, there'd be a whole bunch of homeless people sitting on those steps with their bottle of wine or whiskey,
Yep.
and they'd come in and get their hair cut and shave, shampoo, free.
Oh yeah. So that was your training.
Yeah, that was part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I went to Meadville, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and that's where I first started
Okay.
barbering.
How old were you then, roughly?
18, 19.
Okay, you were still pretty
20.
young.
Yeah, right around 19.
After the war.
Yeah.
Yeah, after your service.
Hmm.
Well, that's pretty amazing. So you were cutting hair, and then how did you end up getting out here to Arizona?
Well, my mother-in-law had arthritis real bad, and her doctor told her to move to Arizona because it's got a good climate. And so when they moved out there, I decided I'm gonna go to Arizona because we had already gone out to meet them.
Yeah.
So then I came back and I said, we're gonna
Get out
move.
to the sun.
And I had my wife and 2 kids at the time.
So this is wife number 1?
Yeah.
No, wife number 1. Okay. I know you kind of lose track like me. So that was wife number 1, okay?
Yeah.
So you moved to Arizona. It's nice and sunny and warm and beautiful, and I bet you it looked completely different than it looks now.
Yeah, well, my mother-in-law, her husband died just before we got married. And so she said that I could move into the house that he was building.
Okay.
It wasn't quite finished yet. And I said, I can't afford that. And she says, you can afford it. Just pay me $50 a month. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went back to Pennsylvania and finished up that house because
Yep.
I got a GI loan, and they insisted that I finish it inside and outside.
The whole thing.
Yeah, so I did that.
Okay.
And,
How did you get out to Arizona?
I bought a truck.
You bought a truck. Well, there you go. That's one way to get out here.
I bought I was working in Arizona as on the railroad, too.
Oh, okay. So that we have that in common. You realize, right?
Yeah,
And my dad's sitting right over here. We're all railroaders,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you were working on the railroad out here in Arizona. So how did you start cutting hair in Arizona?
Oh, I went downtown to the Westward Ho Hotel.
Westward Ho, the old Westward Ho.
That's the Westward Ho House.
Yep.
And I said, I want to get a job there. So the guy said, well, you can come back in 2 weeks and because that other barber's leaving. So this was a 5-chair barber shop.
Yep.
Manicurist, shoe shine boy. And I stayed there for 9 years. And then I had a chance to go to Scottsdale and open a barber shop in Goldwater's department store. And so I did. And
Yeah, that was Scottsdale was probably kind of out in the boonies at that point from the
It
Western Ho,
was.
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was in 1961.
Wow.
So that's when I went to work at Goldwater's.
Okay.
And then
And that's where
Goldwater-
Fashion Square. I mean, that was Fashion Square,
Yeah,
but
it
it
was.
was an outdoor mall, as I remember it when I first moved
It
here.
was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just kind of has gradually transformed over the years. But you were right there, pretty much at the beginning of that mall, then.
Yeah, right when they opened.
Right when they opened. Yep, 61.
So then I stayed there until 88.
So you were cutting hair there,
Yeah.
and you had some pretty amazing customers, from what you've told me over the years.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Like, give me some names. I mean,
well, the most
well
well
known.
known would be Barry Goldwater.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So you were cutting Barry Goldwater's hair at Goldwater's.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you told me you also cut Jackie Gleason's hair.
Not there.
Not there. That was at the Western Ho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah. You like those
Yeah.
architects, don't you?
Yeah.
Those are the three you told me. I don't know if there's others.
Oh, there is.
Cindy McCain.
Do you know? Did you ever know Jim Hensley?
No, Jim Hensley.
He was the Budweiser distributor,
Okay. Yeah.
and his daughter married John McCain.
Okay. Yeah. Now I know that story.
So I cut his hair since 1953 until, probably when he died. I don't know when that was.
Right. So back in the 60s, you're cutting hair at Goldwater's. It's let's see, what year is it now? 2019. You're still cutting hair there near Goldwater's. I mean, it's not Goldwater's
I
anymore.
was in Goldwater's 27 years.
Yeah, 27 years.
Yeah, and then I had to move because they didn't want a barber shop.
Right. But your barber shop is not far from that very spot.
No, it's on the same corner.
Same corner, yeah.
And I was lucky to get a job in this building. Yeah. So they wanted to know if I wanted to come over there and open a barber shop. And I said, well, go take a look.
Yeah.
So I did. I went over there, and they gave me two choices, where it is now or down the hall where the storage room is.
Right. So you're downstairs, which is fine for me. I kind of like the fact that it's nice and cool down there.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. And you've been in that spot how long?
31 years.
31 years. That's amazing. So you've been cutting my hair for about 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
And we've become pretty good friends, I would say.
Yeah, I go to your birthday parties.
I've been to your birthday parties.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's been a lot of fun. Now, you and I have both been married 3 times, and we both agree that the third time is the charm, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this road of your life, family, your wife Jane, and how you guys met. How did that all happen?
Oh,
Keep that mic close, man.
well, I had a barber working for me. His name was George.
Uh-huh.
He used to bowl
Okay.
down at Papago Lanes
Yep.
on Scottsdale Road.
I think that's still there.
Yeah, it might be.
Yep.
And he said, you got to come and watch me bowl sometime. So one night I was single. I didn't have anything to do, so I went down there, and they was just finishing up.
Yep.
She was sitting there putting on her street shoes
Yep.
like that,
Yep.
and she had pantyhose
Uh-huh.
and navy blue hot pants.
Oh, you have a good memory, see? You remember those things.
That's the best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been asked this question before.
Okay. So you saw her sitting there in the navy hot pants.
So I said, who is that? He said, I don't know. She just bowls here. So anyhow, he and I went to Joe Hunt's. That's a steakhouse. And that's kind of a good hangout.
Yep.
And we go there, sit up at the bar, and pretty soon 4 girls walk in. her bowling team, and she was there.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh, I hear you good. You keep going.
And so I said, George, there she is. And he said, there who is? He says, the one I wanted to meet at the bowling alley. I don't even know her. I said, just take me over there and say, hey, this is Bill. He wants to meet you. And she was okay with that, and so were the other girls.
Yeah.
So I bought them a drink, and then we exchange? No, I asked her to dance. Well, we couldn't dance when we went out there because there was a lady singer in the band. She was out in the middle.
Doing her thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So then I think we exchanged phone numbers, and then I just started calling her. She started answering.
That's always a good thing.
So that was the beginning.
Okay. I want to hear Jane's version of this story. Come on, Jane. Let me hear what you had to say about all this. What was your perspective on this?
Well, I really thought he was nice, and I wasn't. My first husband, he was a sports announcer, and I'd pick him up at the airport, and he'd say, you know what I really missed, and you'd think he'd say, oh, my children or you, but no, he'd said my music. And then he was really weird, but his parents were really, really nice. And then to make a long story short, I fell in love with Bill. But first, I had 3 children. And I wanted to make sure after Bill wanted to marry me, and I wanted to marry him, I wanted to make sure he was that it would work out because of 3 children, 3 little children. So I have a twin sister, and she lived in Homewood, Illinois with her husband, and he was a teacher, and I moved back there about 4 houses from her and rented a house, and Bill would come back every 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow.
And then sometimes he wouldn't go back to work. He'd say, oh, I got snowed in, George. And so he'd stay an extra day. And then after a year, he came. So
you were Bill's music. That's what I think, right? Yeah.
And then we got married back in Homewood, Illinois, and my 3 children, Colleen, Michael, and Kent, and Bill and I all went back to Scottsdale, Arizona, and then in a couple years, my ex-in-law, Joe and Josephine McConnell, they came out and wanted to move out here, and they had a daughter that lived in Phoenix, but they wanted to live. They really, really liked Bill.
Yep.
And even though I had been married to their son, And so anyway, they bought a house about 6 blocks from where we live now in Scottsdale. And they were just really, really nice, and we'd go out to eat together, and they'd come over and help Bill with different things.
Yep.
And
So now, Bill, did you have some children also, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you had what? You have a couple.
I had 2 daughters by my first wife.
Yeah.
4 sons by my second wife.
And then she had 3 children.
Yeah.
So that's.
And they treat me just like their dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's quite an array of children there that you are.
We used to have parties on Christmas and 4th of July, and
wow.
we'd have like 40, 50 people.
Right.
And all relatives.
And your family's still pretty big. I mean, it's still. I hear you talking about your grandkids, and they come from Hawaii, and so you're always busy with your family. When I come in for my haircut, you got all kinds of stories. So now that you're in the 90s, has it always been smooth sailing? Has life just been easy as can be?
Well, it has for me.
Has it?
But I don't think it was for my ex-wives.
Well, it was kind of tough for them, huh?
Well, I wasn't a good boy.
Yeah.
I did wrong things, and stayed out late at night, and
You were a carouser.
yeah, I was.
Yeah. But you settled down with Jane.
What?
You've settled down with Jane.
Well, so far,
There's still time, right?
46 years.
That's pretty good. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So
Third time's the charm.
now that's what I keep saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what advice would you give people, both young people just getting started and those of us now closing in on our 60s and beyond? What advice would you give the young people first in living life and just relationships, working, getting a job? What are some of the things you've seen in your life that you would tell someone that's 20 years old right now, getting started?
I'd say make sure you get a good education. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And I never did that.
Right.
But if I had it to do over again, I would.
Yeah. Well, let's just assume that someone doesn't have a good education. What would you tell them? Because you still made it all work for you, even despite not having that education.
Yeah.
How did you do that? Was it hard work? Was it
Well, if
being lucky?
I'd say get a trade.
Get a trade, right?
Go to trade school.
Yep.
Or some other kind of school for.
No, that's what I did. I mean, I went to drafting school and learned drafting. I never graduated, so I think the same thing. It's just you got to work hard and find a skill that you can do. You were a barber. I was a drafter. I mean, there's so many. What I see right now happening, and I'd like your opinion on this, is I see a lot of these kids getting these doctorate degrees and master's degrees and who knows what, and then ultimately they can't even get a job because they're virtually overqualified, and then they've got all this debt on top of it. Whereas I think, in our profession, there's a lot of jobs for framers and electricians and plumbers, and they're great jobs, and they make good money,
Yeah.
and they don't have to get in a lot of debt to get your start in those jobs.
One of my sons went to a school where he learned electronics,
Yeah.
and he now works at SRP,
Yeah.
and he's got a real good job.
Yeah.
He'll never give that job
No,
up.
that's what I'm saying. There's great jobs out there. You don't have to, not everyone has to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Well, then my first son, he's a baker.
Yep.
He's been a baker for 55 years probably. And then another son is he works for that company that you get your printing from.
Yeah. Yep. Thomas
That's
Reaper Graphics.
David,
Yeah.
my son David.
Yep. Yep. We know about him. So looking back at your life and career, what would you do differently now, knowing what you know now? Would
My
you do
whole
anything
life?
different?
I don't know. That's a tough question.
You're pretty happy with your life, aren't
Yeah, I
you?
love it.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, you live.
She made my life.
So there you go, right? He talks about you all the time, by the way. When I'm in his chair, he adores you.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's very true. So you're a lucky lady. I'll tell you that for
I'm
sure.
a lucky man.
And you're a lucky man, right? So they're both wonderful couple. We got Dad sitting across here too. He's interjecting when he can. Okay, looking back, I did that question. Okay, how do you relax and get away from it all? What do you do every day to make it to your 90s? What's your daily routine? You've told me about your daily routine.
Yeah, I get up in the morning. That's the main thing.
That's number one, right? You got to get up,
Yeah.
right? When you wake up and you see the world, it's a pretty good day already.
Yeah, so then I go make coffee
Yeah.
and take my pills. And then I exercise.
Okay. And tell me about your exercise.
It takes about 20 minutes.
Okay.
I do it every morning.
Yep.
It's like stretching.
Yep.
And I had back problem one time,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to the doctors, and they told me exercise this way, they do that way. So I just do it
Yep.
now,
And you do it every day.
and I don't have to go to the doctors
Yeah.
anymore.
It's amazing. 20 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Makes a huge difference. You do some weights?
Yeah, but just 5-pounders.
Yeah. You do a ball
Then I have a ball.
for stretching and stuff like that?
Yeah, I put my feet up on a ball like this.
Yep.
And go back and forth like
Yep.
that.
So lateral motion.
Yeah, and keep bringing my feet towards me.
Yep.
and keep doing that.
Yeah, that's good.
Do
So
that
after
40 times.
that's I don't think I could do that for 40 times. So after your 20 minutes of you got the coffee going, you got the exercise done. What's next for Bill?
Well, I got to take a shower eventually.
Yeah, clean up, get ready for the day, right?
Yeah.
Now you do some fun things besides cutting my hair. I mean, I hear about you golfing. I hear about you out there shooting doves. You guys go on tours. You were where were you? Just Yellowstone or something recently,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've gone on 3 bus trips.
yeah. Recently,
Yellowstone and Utah.
yeah.
And, hmm?
Grand Canyon.
Yeah, Grand Canyon.
And then you golf. How often a month or a week do you golf?
Well, when the weather's good, we can do about once a week,
Yeah, once a week. That's pretty good.
sometimes twice.
And you golf too, right, Jane?
Yes.
Yes. She likes to golf too. You guys go up to Pine Top a lot.
Yeah, not enough,
Not enough.
but we do.
Yeah.
We was up there 2 weeks ago, and we played golf one day. We got 16 holes in.
Yeah.
Then it started thundering and lightning.
Yeah. So you had to run for the 19th hole and fix a cocktail, huh?
Yeah.
That's the hole I always ended up with.
Yeah.
So-
Then,
The next day we played 8.
yeah. Next day we played 18 holes,
Yeah, that's good.
and it was perfect. Weather was perfect.
So then tell me about the dove hunting. You go dove hunting too.
Yeah, down where he lives.
Yeah.
Down
Down by Maricopa, right?
Maricopa.
And you go with one of your sons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a stepson too.
Yeah. And you go early in the morning, I'm assuming, or
Daylight.
daylight. And you got the whole gear and guns and it's not slingshots, right? It's guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use a 16 gauge shotgun.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you're out there traipsing around and squatting down and you're moving around, right? You're not
Yeah.
just sitting in the truck.
We don't have to walk much though.
Yeah, okay. So that's not too bad.
I quit quail hunting because there was too much walking.
Okay. Yeah, you deserve that at 92, I think. So how do you stay motivated and what inspires, I call you Bill the Barber, by the way. You know that's what I always call you, Bill the
Yeah.
Barber. So what do you do to stay motivated? How do you stay motivated? Because I walk into that barber shop and you're always happy. You've always got a great attitude. I mean, I can't ever tell if you're feeling down or you're feeling sick. I mean, you always have a good attitude. How do you do that?
Habit.
Habit, right? It's like the exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just tell yourself that's the way I'm going to
She's
be.
made me what I am today.
Well, that's good. That's awesome, right?
Yeah.
So, tell us, how do we get in touch with you, Bill? How do we find you, and what's the phone number of your shop?
It's 480
Mm-hmm.
947 0622.
0622. And you're open. You're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
3 days a week.
Yeah.
Right? I go in there at 8 a.m. and I don't know what time you cut out. But
Whenever customers
5 p.m.
disappear. Yeah, actually our hours from 8:30 to 5:30.
Yeah.
8:30 to 5:30.
Okay. And so that's a long day to be standing on your feet at 92 all day
Well,
long.
I have a stool
Yeah.
with wheel rolls on it.
Yeah.
And when I cut the back of the hair, I sit on my stool. So
Yeah.
I don't
That
have-
helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you move around pretty good when I'm in there. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty impressed. So, so Jane, how do you keep this guy so young?
Well, I'm a nurse, but I've retired because he made me retire because he said I was working too many hours,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't want to retire. Then the Dr. Curtin told me, well, you can just work the days you want and just the hours you want. I told Bill, and he says, no, I don't want you working anymore. So I says, okay, fine. And so anyway, I try to feed him the right foods,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Take care of him.
And and we stay active. We play bridge. We play pool.
Yeah.
We have a pool table in our game room, and we used to have a ping pong table, but we don't have a ping pong table now. And we have a swimming pool, and Bill likes to work in the garden. He plants plants, and we eat them, and if we're lucky, and we just
Live life.
live life and have a real nice time.
You're not sitting there just watching TV 24 hours a day.
No,
You guys
But-
are moving and grooving.
Yeah, and we shop together sometimes, and he cooks on the grill sometimes, and we go out and eat, and we just have a nice time when we're into sports, but we don't go to the games anymore, and we used to.
Yeah, the same way.
Yeah, but we just watch them on TV, and we just have fun together.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah. There's nothing, it's no big, complicated thing. It's just simple stuff in life and enjoying them together. Right?
And he likes to read a book, and so we'll be in the living room with the TV on, and he'll read a book, and I like to do crossword puzzles. And I read one time a long time ago where it helps your brain, and hopefully it's helping my brain because I'm addicted to it now.
Oh, I think you guys are both amazing. I mean, the first time I walked in and met you, Bill, I was taken. I mean, I was just like, I wish I would have known you 40 years ago.
Yeah, I wish you had it too.
We could have probably gotten in a lot of trouble together, knowing
Oh,
the two of
yeah,
us,
probably.
knowing the stories we've said together. So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'd probably never end up as good as I have, though.
Yeah, I know me either. So we're both darn lucky where we
Yeah,
ended up, given
really.
given everything we've been through.
That's
Right?
right. I
Right.
think so.
Yep. So you've been to some of my parties. You're gonna probably enjoy dinner here tonight with my folks, and I think the world of you. I'm just really glad you're my friend. You're my barber, and I just love the two of you to death.
I appreciate that.
And thanks for being on the podcast today. It was kind of fun, huh?
You're probably one of
was
the
fun.
most when you ask me tell you about some of the customers,
Yeah.
I want to say that you're one of the best customers.
Oh, that's nice.
And
That's nice.
yeah,
Yeah. I always look forward to it. I mean, I
he's
always
never late.
well, sometimes I'm late,
if
but
he-
not too bad.
If he's not going to come, he makes sure he calls.
Well, Stacy calls.
Stacy calls.
My whole life revolves around Stacy keeping me in the right place at the right time. She does a pretty good job, doesn't she?
She does a real good job.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I'm lucky. I have a lot of help from a lot of people. Thank God. So, it makes a big difference.
Well, as big as your company is, you have to.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we're getting there. But anyway, I want to tell you, I hope you're cutting my hair for another 10 to 20 years, to be honest with you.
I'm not going to be doing that.
Well, as long as you can, that's for sure. Okay.
8 years.
How long are you going to cut hair? Another 8 years?
8 years.
Oh, 8 years is good. That's
Maybe 7.
maybe 7.
Maybe not.
Well, thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. Love you both.
I love you too.
All right, brother. Take care.
Okay, I really appreciate Bill coming in to do that podcast. I mean, he was pretty nervous, and I'll tell you what, I thought he did a great job, and Jane did a great job. And I've got Isabel sitting here. They stayed for dinner later they went home, and then they came back for dinner that evening, and they whipped it up pretty darn good for a couple of people. Bill's 92. I forget Jane. She's in her 80s. I think she's around 80.
They were amazing, and they had such a good time with our parents.
Our parents were there. Your mom was there.
They really hit it off. She's a nurse. Your mom was a
Yeah,
nurse.
that's
So
right.
they had that whole commonality, and I just think they had a really good time, and we had a great time with all of them.
Yeah, and they were here. I mean, we started, around 6, I think, dinner, and they didn't leave till about 10. So they did the podcast earlier in the day. That was a long day
It's
for
a
them.
long day.
So they did a great job. But I'll tell you what, to be 92 and have that much spunk and appreciation of life, to me, is really inspiring, right?
Very inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, you were just saying he goes dove hunting, he works out.
He does his little workout every morning. He works in the garden. They play bridge. I mean, I just got my hair cut by him yesterday, and he was all excited about the weekend, and, this guy just keeps
All
going.
his activities. Remember we went to his birthday
Yeah.
party a few years
Yeah.
ago over in McCormick Ranch.
Yeah, that
He
was
at
fun.
the charter
Yeah.
Or what's that?
I can't remember, the Chart House.
Charter House, and
Yeah.
his whole family was there. I guess it must have been 2 years ago because
Yeah.
it was his 90th.
Yeah, that's right. So he's amazing. I think one of the things that I remember the most, though, was the day he cut your hair. Your hair was falling out. You were going through chemo. And I know how emotional that is. I mean, obviously lost all my hair. And I remember what that was. Mine was dragged out over several years, but yours was like in a couple weeks. And we went to Bill the Barber, and he gave me the most amazing haircut that day.
He really did. I mean, the whole hair thing was pretty traumatic because, as you know, my hair was very long when I found out
Yep.
that I had cancer. So I think we cut off, I want to say, maybe 13 inches the first time.
Yep.
And then we cut off, I don't know, I went from a bob and then I went to Bill's and he cut it kind of into a little pixie.
Yeah. I'm going to post a picture of the job he did. And I'll tell you what, the guy is a heck of a hairstylist, to be honest with you. What he did with your hair I thought was amazing.
Yeah, it was already kind of dry and getting matted together, but he managed to give it some shape. I mean, it all fell out pretty quickly after that. My mom had to finish it off in the backyard for me. But yeah, it was fun to go to him too. To think, that he's been around for so long. And
yeah, he's cutting hair for 60 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been cutting hair longer than we've been alive.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
And I feel pretty damn old. He's been cutting hair that whole time. So, I mean, I think, this whole getting older aspect, I read the statistics when I started the podcast. And, we see with our parents, thank God, both of my parents are still alive, both of your parents are still alive. And we spend a lot of time, as much time as we can with them. We'd love to spend more, but I mean, I see it every year. I mean, I see them getting older and slower, and how I see it myself,
Well, we're getting older and slower too. So.
Yeah, so it's definitely something we all have to deal with. And I think, I think America tends to almost like hide our old people instead of celebrate them. And that's what I enjoyed about that night is we had, all ages, and it was just a lot of fun to get everyone's perspective and just celebrate life,
One thing I really love about hanging out with our parents now is how open their hearts are.
Right.
I mean, every time we see them, we just really share how much we love each other. And it's neat to be able to do that with them.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. So I guess, as you look at percentage terms, we're closing in on them. So they're not as old as they once were, because we're all old. That's the whole thing, I guess. But anyway, it's fun. I love spending time with all ages of people. I think at our Italy trip this year, it was kind of fun. We had people on our Spain trip that were in their 80s, and we had people on our Italy trip that were in their 20s. And we had people in our 20s on the Spain trip. Well, that's what I love about Italy, too, is you see all the different people out there. You see the old with the young, and they're out in, like at midnight still, right?
Walking around, being together, laughing, just having a good time. Could be 5 generations.
Yeah, and I think there's an opportunity that we're missing out of in this country to really bring all those different generations together. I think a lot of people do it, but I think we got to do it more. I think we're missing out on a lot of perspectives, a lot of love, and I don't know, just a lot of great memories, right?
For sure, making memories with the family, and then just also their wisdom. I mean, they have so many stories and things that have happened and experiences that they help us with. So.
Yeah, totally for sure. Okay, so next week I've got a great guest. I've got Jason Barlow. He is the president and CEO of the Central Chapter of Habitat for Humanity. And I'll tell you what, I'm a board member. I've been a board member for about a year or so. And I cannot be part of a better organization. I have learned so much watching how they operate. And I know Jason Barlow has a lot to do with that. And I think you'll find his story and his perspective on life very, very interesting. So tune in next week. Anyway, have a great week. And we will catch you guys on the flip side next week. Okay, take care. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. We encourage you to write a review, screenshot it, and share it with your friends. Please instant message it to me and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights to inspiring living next week.